Welcome to Astrological Astrology, the astrology of I am. No matter where you are at this moment in your life, by listening to the messages from the sky, you are on your way to a brighter day. Hi everybody, welcome back to Astrological Astrology, the astrology of I am. I hope you like our new beginning. We have graphics, we have new music, we're updating a bit, hoping to be engaging in a visual and in an oral way, and just making some progress. So thank you for being with us again, and we are here to give you the messages from the sky. The messages from the sky are real. And if you align yourself with them, you will find yourself being in harmony with all of life and making progress towards all the things that matter to you. So today's episode is special because we're dealing with eclipses. It's eclipse season again. And I am excited about it because eclipses are seasons of really intense change. And unlike some who fear eclipses, I do not fear them. I believe that change is inevitable and change is valuable. And of course, how you are affected by change depends on what type of aspects the eclipse is making in your own chart. So I have to say right off the bat, you're going to have to talk to someone who's an expert at astrology to get the deepest benefit of knowing where the eclipse is going to affect you. So whether it's contacting me or another astrologer you know, please reach out to someone who can tell you exactly where the eclipse is falling in your chart and what aspects it's making to other planets in your chart, because that's going to be the big difference between whether or not the eclipse is going to affect you in a more progressive, positive way or in a way that causes you to have to make some changes that may not be so pleasant. But nonetheless, we're all evolving, we're all growing, so I count it all good, even if there are challenges. Why don't I start with my own chart to give you an example of what I mean when I say, even though there may be challenges, change is still something that we all have to address and should do our best to welcome. So I'm a Libra rising, and that means that the full moon eclipse is falling in my 8th house. Those of you who know anything about astrology know that the 8th house has to do with transformation at a deep level, sometimes even to the level of death. And in fact, I have had to address death in my immediate family and in my immediate social circle very recently. And while it's not the most exciting thing, I have to accept that that's a part of the life cycle. So I recently lost an aunt who fortunately lived a long, beautiful life. She was 102 when she passed. And I also lost a mentor who wasn't quite as long lived, but still lived a very long and healthy, good life, which I was blessed to be a part of. So even though the full moon in my 8th house caused challenges around transformation at the deepest level, it's still a part of the life process. And that's the message that I had to get out of it. So you, my fellow Librans out there who may be dealing with 8th house issues, and the 8th house is also sex, and it's also money that you share with other people. So it could be affecting you on those levels as well. you have to understand that this is a period of time, my fellow Librans, that you're going to go through some deep changes that are going to make you see how frail life is, and how you also have to make sure that all your resources are intact and operating and flowing the way you would hope them to, or make those corrections. So that's a personal example to show you that eclipses they don't have to be painful if you can accept the life cycle that is being revealed to you. All right, so let's get into some of the other signs, and I'm going to cover everybody briefly just so you can get a sense of where the eclipse is going to affect you. And by the way, the eclipse is called the beaver moon eclipse because it's the time when beavers are busy apparently. And this eclipse is the longest eclipse of this century. So you're living in a once in a lifetime experience, most of us. If you're a baby, you may see another long eclipse, but this eclipse is going to last almost 3 hours. So it's going to be Friday on the East Coast, Thursday evening on the West Coast of the United States. And it's going to last, as I said, about 3 hours. So you can go outside, weather permitting, and you can see this eclipse. And an eclipse is when the sun, the moon, and the earth are all lined up, and the moon is in the earth's shadow, so it becomes red. Big, beautiful reddish moon. And as I said already, the eclipse is nothing to be afraid of it because it's going to bring change, so we might as well accept that, right? So now what I'm going to discuss is how or where specifically you are going to experience the change, and I'm just going to go through all the signs. So for Aquarius, you're going to experience change in your home life, within your family. There are going to be some things that are going to ask you, how can I make this more progressive? How can I make my home more open? How can I create an openness with my family members? How can I create dialogue and exchange that allows me to feel that I am resonating in harmony with those who are around me, and that I can possibly correct some things that need to be corrected? There may be some challenges with older family members that you have to address. You may have to take care of a parent, but it may be that time in life where that's necessary, and it may be that you welcome it. Again, we all have to look at how these planets are being affected by the eclipse. So if you're getting positive energy exchanges between the planets in your chart, it'll be a nice home time when home becomes much more important and valuable and interesting. Next, let's go to Aries. If you're an Aries rising, and I'm using rising signs to point this out because if you're going to talk about where the eclipse falls in your chart, you have to use the rising sign because the rising sign is what begins the 12 houses of the zodiac chart. And so if you're an Aries sun sign, then you can still use this in any of the signs that I named. You can still use this for the sun sign in a more limited way, but to be clear, we're using the rising sign, which again is why you need to talk to an astrologer to have a full understanding of how this is affecting you. So if you're Aries, then the eclipse is going to fall in your second house, which means your finances are going to be in flux. You're going to be questioning and looking at your values and seeing whether or not you have the appropriate sense of who you are according to your own values and not someone else's values. And if it needs to be adjusted, you will make the adjustments so that you feel more secure. You're always striving to be an honest, authentic reflection of yourself in everything that you do. And so the eclipse is asking you both look at what your values are and then to also make sure that what you get in terms of your earning in the world reflects how you see yourself. So if you need to say to someone, hey, I deserve more, this is a good time to say it. And if you need to step away from something to move into something better, this is a good time to do that. Next is Cancer. If you have Cancer energy, then you are going to have the eclipse in the 11th house. That means your goals, the things that you are reaching for, are going to be in flux, and you're going to have to pay attention to them, because the change is going to ask you, are you reaching your goals? And are you doing the things that you need to do to accomplish the things you desire? And you're going to also ask yourself, what about my friends and the groups that I associate with? Am I going to be continuing with them, or am I going to need to look to find other people to associate with? Because maybe the tribe that you are associated with right now is not the tribe that's moving you forward. You know, there's the saying that you are most likely to get the type of experiences and results in life based on the 5 people closest to you that you hang around. So with Cancer rising, you're going to be questioning, am I in the right tribe? Am I finding solace and community? And am I reaching my goals with the groups and the associations that I have? And so it's a good time to put yourself in check to find out whether or not you are moving in the right direction with the right people. Okay, Capricorn. Capricorn, if you're wondering where the eclipse is going to fall for you, it's in the 5th house. It's in the 5th house of love, relationships, and creativity and children. So Capricorn rising, you have the opportunity to really get into ways of expressing yourself that are really opening your heart. And so that's the common denominator behind all 5th house activities and associations. They all involve the opening of the heart, right? If you're in a love relationship, you have to open up your heart. If you're expressing yourself creatively, you have to trust and give and be vulnerable. If you have children, you have to sacrifice. You have to. There's no other way around it. So you have to come from the heart. And so the eclipse in your 5th house is going to give you the opportunity to address any or all of those issues. You may find that a love relationship changes. You may find that your relationship with your children changes. You may find that you develop a creative hobby, or you may find that someone that you felt close to is changing. These are the areas where you can expect there to be a new awareness that causes you to evolve. All right, next is Gemini. Gemini energy people are going to have the eclipse in the 12th house. And this might be one of the areas where we would probably say the 12th house eclipse is going to bring some challenges. At the very least, there's going to be a revelation. Something comes to your awareness that has probably been visible if you had paid attention before, but you didn't pay attention. And so now with the eclipse in the 12th house, circumstances are coming to a head, and whatever was hidden will come to light. And it could be that you have a sense of purpose and a sense of ability about things that you didn't realize that you had. That's a positive way that it can develop. Or it could be that something that is related to other people or another person comes to your awareness in such a way that you now see things that you didn't see before. And this can be a challenging time if, again, it's hitting other planets in your chart in a challenging way. And it could be something positive if you have positive aspects from this eclipse. So that's a difficult one to call, and you're really going to have to talk to someone to find out what exactly it's doing in your chart. But in general, there's going to be a revelation of some sort that is going to cause you to have to change your perspective. All right, let's move on to Leo, the lion. If you are Leo energy, then you are going to have the eclipse in your 10th house. This is an important house because it's your career, it's the way the world sees you, and it's the effect you have on the world, what you're known for doing. So if the eclipse is causing challenges because of the aspects that it's making, you may have to deal with aspects of your reputation being damaged or your reputation being questioned. If it's positive aspects from the eclipse, then you will be glowing this month. This eclipse is going to highlight your work, give you recognition that you deserve, and put you over the top if you've been reaching for something like a promotion. So good luck, Leo. I hope that it's a positive time for you, and I hope that you are able to reap the benefits of the hard work that you've put in before this. All right, Pisces. All right, fish. You are always flowing, always wanting to find connections, always wanting to seek a way to make life more beautiful, more sensitive, more caring. You're empathetic. And the eclipse is falling in your 3rd house. So you are seeking to have better understanding, better communication with the people around you, especially with your siblings, your aunts and uncles. You are reaching for a sense of community, and you may decide that you want to reach out and write some letters, or you may decide that you want to make some phone calls that are going to bridge the gap between you and others that you care about. You may decide that you want to do some social media things. There may be some challenging news based on, again, what the eclipse is bringing to your chart. If it's bringing positive aspects, it'll make flowing interactions. If it's bringing challenging aspects, you may get a phone call about something that's concerning from a relative or from a teacher. It's also a time when you may have to take some exams and you may be nervous about that. So again, you have to check to see what the aspects are, and then you will have a sense of whether it's a flowing time or whether it's a time where you can look for some changes that are going to cause you to readjust. Next, we go to Sagittarius. If you're Sagittarius energy, the eclipse is falling in your 6th house. The 6th house is the house of your health, the house of work. So you're going to have to make some adjustments. Maybe it's time to go on a diet. Maybe it's time to go on a fast. Maybe it's time to go on a cleanse. Maybe it's time to get up earlier and exercise before you go to work. It's all about your habits. It's all about the things that you do on a daily basis to keep your life functioning well. And it's a good time for you to embark on anything that's going to bring about self-improvement or greater efficiency. So Sagittarius, get to it. You like to be on the go anyway, so this is a good time for you to make an adjustment in the area of your health and or your efficiency, and in the sense of getting things done on a day-to-day basis, whether it's at home or whether it's at work. All right, we're at Scorpio. If you are a Scorpio energy person, you're going to have the eclipse in your 7th house. And that means that your relationships, your personal one-on-one relationships, are going to be the place where life is asking you to make some adjustments. Again, if they're positive aspects, then the adjustments will be flowing. If they are difficult aspects, you may have to deal with some disappointment. You may have to deal with being let down or people not coming through for you in the way that you thought that they would. In really difficult circumstances, you may have lawsuits or you may have challenges from people who openly oppose you. But whatever the case, whether it's challenging or flowing, it's going to be a big focus on relationships with others that are very personal, very one-on-one. So Scorpios, you like things to be safe and you're very intense and you can be very guarded, but the eclipse in your 7th house is saying you're going to have to open up to the realities of what the effect of your energy is on other people. And Taurus. Taurus is opposite Scorpio, so if you are Taurus energy, the full moon is in your, it is a full moon, but the eclipse is in your 1st house. The 1st house is the house of your self-identity, the way you present, the face you show to others. So if you're Taurus rising, this is a good time for a makeover. It's a good time for you to take your facade, your self-expression, the way that you show up in the world, and make an adjustment and show yourself differently. So that means maybe you get new makeup, maybe you do a new hairstyle, maybe you buy some new clothing, maybe you get something like a tattoo or an earring. Or maybe you just focus on yourself and how you feel if you've been giving so much of your time and energy to other people. It's a good time for you to come back to what matters and how you feel. And as long as you don't go overboard and exclude other people, then you'll be doing well, because we all deserve the opportunity to reflect and come back to a sense of what it is that we want to experience and how we want to interact with the world. So Taurus, it's a good time for you to come back into alignment with yourself. Taurus, okay. And finally, we get to Virgo. Virgo, this eclipse is going to put travel in your experience. So you're likely to get out on the road. You're likely to take a trip of some sort. And it may be a trip that happens in your mind. It may be you go on an exploration in, you may take a deep dive in the internet and just, who knows where you end up, because you just get so excited that you start exploring. Or it could be that you actually get on some mode of transportation and get out of town and go somewhere else. And this is a time when these trips are going to expand your awareness, expand your boundaries, and give you something to share with those around you. You will probably be learning something on this trip. Your values will grow. Your philosophy about life will be affected, because you will see something or experience something that gives you another way of looking at things. And so it's a good time for you, Virgo, to go out and explore and not be so critical. Just let things be what they are. You don't have to like everything. You can just let it be what it is and taste it and try it. And if it doesn't work for you later, fine. But for right now, just see what it is and see if there's something to learn from it. Because as a Mercury-ruled sign, you're always wanting to grow, you're always wanting to learn, but you have to overcome your tendency to want to pick things apart first. So if you can relax and get out and experience and explore, you will find that life is giving you things that will be very valuable that you can bring back into your toolbox later. So that's all 12 signs briefly. I again caution everyone to understand that we're using the rising sign as the basis for describing the effects of the eclipse, because it's only when you have a rising sign that you can find out what house the eclipse is falling in. And so if you don't know your rising sign, you need to talk to a professional astrologer or go online and have your chart done. And then you can tell where the eclipse is falling and thus what experiences you're likely to have. It still works for the sun signs, but in a much more general way, in a much less concentrated way. So that's why I'm focusing on the rising sign in this edition of our show. But nonetheless, the bottom line is the eclipse brings positive change if it's making good aspects in your chart, and it brings challenging experiences if it's making difficult aspects. But it's all about our growth, and it's all about our awareness, and it's all about us making inevitable change. The eclipse just brings a highlight, a focus, a sort of laser-like intensity and focus to the area that needs to be addressed and adjusted. So there's nothing to worry about. Even if you're facing difficulties, it's all about giving you opportunities to see things differently and to grow. And that's what life is all about. And so once again, we are always here for you if you need to reach out to us. We're at astrologicastrology.com. You can reach out to us for a reading. You can reach out to us on Instagram at astrological astrology, and where else? We're everywhere. Please like and subscribe. And also, if you haven't done so already, we have a book, The Beautiful Logic of Astrology by myself, Lorenzo Sanford. You can find that on Amazon. You can order it on my website. And it gives you a basic understanding of the foundations of astrology. You learn about the signs. You learn about the aspects, which is what we were talking about. You learn about the houses, and you learn how to put it all together. So if you need to, get that, and it'll be a blessing for you and help you grow in your understanding of all this terminology and all these things that we are discussing. Thank you again for being with us. We appreciate your time and your patience, and we look forward to sharing with you again soon. And as always, we end with the word from Sanskrit, which means the spirit in me recognizes and honors the spirit in you. That word is namaste.